Hello and welcome to Pre-Practicum. I'm looking forward to co-instructing this class with Dr. O'Halloran and Liz Tomlin. My name is Taylor Randolph, and I will be helping a certain segment of you more than others, as we will be assigned folks according to your last name in some sort of alphabetized fashion. So without further ado, welcome to class. Let's go in and talk a little bit about the online format, the digital format, and what can be expected. So I will assume that each of you don't have much of experience in taking online classes in presenting this. So if some of this comes across as remedial or, hey, I already know that, just bear with me because I want to make sure that we have a good footing to go forward on. A little bit about me, for those of you that will be interacting closely with me in this class and then throughout your education. Uh, my name is Taylor Randolph. I have a master's in counseling psychology and also in theological studies. I have a license to professionally counsel in Oklahoma. I also have an alcohol and drug counseling license in Oklahoma. I'm a supervisor for both of those licensures. So I've worked in the field for quite a while, altogether about 17 years. I'm not currently practicing. I'm currently teaching. So we'll go on to that as we go down the vita here. I have a bachelor's in psychology. I graduated from Northwestern Oklahoma State University. That's out of Alva, Oklahoma, a little town northwest Oklahoma. I am currently situated in Enid, Oklahoma. So I apologize if I come across with my Oklahoma vernacular. I'll try to keep that my roots to a minimum so as to allow everybody to follow me. And every once in a while you'll catch a y'all coming out. But again, I really can't help it. As much as I try, that'll come out. So I do have a master's from Northwestern Oklahoma State University. I also have a master's from Phillips Theological Seminary. Don't get freaked out. I'm not a preacher, a pastor, or anything like that. And so that's more for personal understanding rather than wanting to go and preach to people. That's not my thing. So anyway, if you're interested and want to talk to me about that, I'll entertain that. But that's not really why I'm here. So professionally, I've worked at several different places. I worked at an inpatient psychiatric hospital for children. I worked there as kind of a mental health tech, mental health specialist for a couple of years, and then was a therapist and charge therapist for 4 years. I've also worked at an adult rehab. It's called 12 and 12. I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I worked there for about a year. Really valuable experiences there, working with a lot of different people, a lot more diverse population of folks than I was used to working with in Enid, Oklahoma. So I have a pretty sheltered understanding of folks in Northwest Oklahoma. It's pretty homogenous, unfortunately. So also worked for 8 years. Altogether I worked there for 14, but as 8 years as clinical director for an outpatient youth services agency. They also had a rather large school-based counseling program that I helped administrate, and that I won't go into a lot of detail because there's a lot with that job. I've taught at Northwestern Oklahoma State University since 2013. I've been a full-time faculty at Northwestern since 2016, and I've been a PhD student. This is my second semester, so I'm rather green, a little wet behind the ears, you might say, when it comes to Adams State University. Had a good time since I've been here, and looking forward to working with students that are trying to do what I've done a couple of years ago. So hopefully I'll add some valuable perspective to your learning experiences. So the real mission behind this video, the real intent, is to talk about etiquette. So not everyone has taken an online course before. If you haven't, it's a different animal. It's a different breed than sitting and listening to a professor lecture. I know we'll have a lot of the Zoom platform type of situations where we'll get to interact, and that's good because the face-to-face nonverbal communication says a lot. When you're in a written type of format and all you can do is post discussion boards or go through email, oftentimes those things can be misinterpreted. And so that's one of the main things I'm going to harp on here, is just work really hard to be respectful of others. Sometimes when we say things quickly, or a lot of times when we're typing, our mind is going way faster than what we're actually getting out in print. So always go back and be your own editor and reread what you've put down, because it is worthwhile to take a second look to make sure that, hey, that's really what I intended to say. Because sometimes we can say things and my gosh, they come out the wrong way. I'm also going to encourage people to use professional language. We get really lax these days with picking up the phone and texting, and are you, letter R, letter U, going to the mall, or whatever it might be. We get rather lax in our communication. Please know that that's a reflection of you. We're also, if I'm reading something, I'm interpreting what I'm reading as, okay, this is a reflection of this person, and if they're out in the field, they might be actually using this language to communicate with other people. So use professional language if you can, because it's going to be worthwhile to take the extra time and the extra effort, because it's a reflection of your professionalism. Also, check for spelling, punctuation, grammar. This doesn't necessarily, I've had some really wild experiences teaching here in Oklahoma. I know that we've underfunded our public education for quite some time, and every once in a while I will get some communication that I'm just really questioning how that actually came to be. So be very careful, be very conscious of how you type things out, and reread, like I said before, reread them. Be your own editor. Use APA. Now this is different, and I still have students that struggled with this that I've taught, and even after a semester. So this can be a work in progress, but we do want you to try to, when you can, and not just when you can, we do want you to move toward this type of communication. So if you don't know APA, it's after this book, the American Psychological Association Publication Manual. There's a lot to this. If you're ever in need of help falling asleep, then this is good stuff. You just dive in there in a page or two, and if you're an insomniac, you'll find yourself, you'll probably find yourself struggling to stay with this content. No, seriously, we do follow this like all graduate programs. So please make sure that you know APA. I gave a little example there. The reason why we do that is really to substantiate what we're saying. It lets you give weight to an argument. If you're making an argument, you don't want to just use your opinion and throw it out there, because we've all got opinions. We all know what people say about those. So we want to make sure that we substantiate what we're saying with, okay, I got this information from here. So that's enough said. Well, you'll learn that style if you haven't already. Hopefully you have in your undergraduate program. Avoid sarcasm or irony. This is, especially in written communication. If I say something sarcastic, it's really easy. And I'm one of the more sarcastic people when you get to know me. Sarcasm is pretty funny when you use it the right way. It can be harmful. It can be really hurtful. And especially if somebody can't see your nonverbals, then they don't know that you're being sarcastic or being ironic. So I would say try to avoid it. It just doesn't come off well many times, and when you write. If you're trying to be humorous, just again, don't be respectful of others. Don't be humorous at the expense of someone else. It's always good to, if you want to be self-deprecating, that's fine, but be careful of what you say about others. And please make sure you fully explain it. If you are trying to make something light of something, make sure people know it's not to be taken seriously. Last but not least, for sure, be proactive in your communication. So I know things come up and people's lives are busy, but we need to, if we can, and we know something's going to be a burden, or we've got something going on, or one of our family members is sick, or we've had an emergency come up, please communicate with us. Whoever your primary instructor is, your primary professor is, please communicate with us, because I think you'll find that each one of us are pretty compassionate, caring people. We've gone into counseling not because we want to be punitive to people, but because we want help. And so as long as you're open and proactive in your communication, if things come up, we definitely want to work with you to help this be a successful project and process for you. So be aware of that. It's important.